This is the application that I worked on for the Bolt competition with my team. And what we were really looking for was a way to kind of look at a way of having a UI UX that was not commonplace in terms of how you interacted with it. So the goal here was to think of like futuristic technologies where you're just kind of talking to your system and the system's responding to you. So you're not really tapping buttons as much and typing in your input, rather you're talking to it. And in this case, 11 Labs was our go-to tool to work along or try to take that approach. And we picked up something around music. So we were like, all right, what if you can talk to your system and be like, hey, I'm feeling this kind of vibe. Can you help me come up with like a harmony, melody, and rhythm to match that vibe? And so for the submission itself, we didn't quite get there. What I did end up doing was setting up a whole true AI orchestration on the back end to do a lot of the analyzing of the user input. But let's walk through the submitted UI. So we'll enable microphone. Is there a way to raise the volume?
Hello, I'm your musical oracle. Here's how this works. First, you'll choose between rhythm, harmony, or melody. Then you'll record yourself singing, humming, or beatboxing for 8 seconds. I'll analyze your audio and select real instruments that match your vibe. After capturing all 3 musical dimensions, I'll compose them into a complete song and perform it for you. Ready to create some magic together?
All right. So from there, I'm actually going to show you guys a slightly more working version. So let me use that one. Pull up this one right here. So what you hear, I don't know if you can kind of hear the background music, but there is like a bit of an ambiance going on. So what was really cool with Bolt is a lot of this design work, it took a while, but you could really get some dynamic particle action going. And I also had it so the system was not just adding in these particles. Right here, the aim that we were going for was to create a really peaceful vibe, but we also have ability to configure settings directly that we were able to just be like, hey, Bolt, I want to be able to change the color of the background, or set the color of the particles, or even customize my own Firefly, which is the little glowy thing up in the corner, to where I can choose the icon and basically say what I want it to look like in terms of personality. And then, so on the back end, it was like that night before it was due, I used Claude to work through like 69 emotions and map it to like 1,000 different instrument sounds. And so it was like a few different data structures that it was just tossed together ad hoc, and then using that same information on the front end, okay, well, how could the user then be able to give a personality to their Firefly, to where they could like just choose one of those 70 emotions. And in terms of like good or bad emotions, I didn't really differentiate those. Rather, I was like, there's a spectrum of like commonplace emotions, and then there's the things on the outer ends, and we'll just include all of them. So let's just go with transcendence with a little circus thing and see what happens. So right now it's just, all right, my teal little Firefly with a little circus emoji in the center. Then we have the ability to get it to like just fly around a little bit when we're away from the screen. And then when we click it, we can begin the process of capturing what kind of vibe are you looking for. Well, I'm hoping for something calm and peaceful. That recording is then held, and you'll notice the ambient sound in the background disappeared. So it was like we're noticing as we're working through the system that we need to actually stop some of the features that are currently occurring so other features can happen, and then start back up on those original features when we've completed the current objective. So let's, well, I'm hoping for something calm and peaceful. Yeah. I won't play that again. So, but we know it worked.
You just turn down the volume on the laptop.
Yeah. So now I have Fast API set up, and this is why I asked the question about like getting third-party servers set up. So I had EC2 set up, and that EC2 is running a Fast API that's giving connection to 4 different Crew AI orchestrations. One is focused on identifying rhythmic patterns, one is focused on harmonic patterns, one is focused on melody, and the last one is focused on taking all the instruments and building a composition. So then once you do that, you walk through the process of getting, okay, next up is rhythm. Something tappy, like tap, 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 tap. Okay, and so rather than waiting for the Crew AI to respond, because that does take time, you can just set all of that to just a silent mode, and you'll see that little timer ticking in the background right there. So that tells you that it's processing, but you get to move on to the other things. And that's all done through telling Bolt, hey, that's how I want this UX to flow. Okay, melody. La 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 la. Did not make it responsive, so I can't get to the little OK button in the corner. You can see this is
Control minus.
Yep, there we go. Continue to performance. Let's reset. So within Strudel, there's a selection of instruments. So here are the instruments that were returned. For the melody, it's decided on some pluck sounds. So let's see what that sounds like. I hope it's not. Rhythm is giving us some boom sounds. The harmony wants to use this bass 2 instrument. All right. So rather than you have now showcased them all. So these are the instruments you're going to work with for your composition. And then the last part actually gives some issues. Fast API, I had some issues in my API piece. That one's a fun one. So right now, when I hit start performance, sorry, 2 things are happening right now. One, the showcase is going through the showcase. The start performance right now is giving a performance based on all those instruments. But the API is not working, so it's just sending back a default background sound. And so in the bottom corner, or at the very end there, you're then given all the instruments and the Strudel code that it used to make that sound. So this was the old AI system. The newer one that I made, but I haven't gotten online yet, was able to produce this code. And this code was based on a vibe of you're walking through Japan on an adventure and you're looking for you're walking to hot springs and you're taking stops to sip on miso soup. And so this was the sound that it came up with. So what this process was building up 4 layers using the AI system, and it identified sounds that would be consistently using that style of sound, primarily because I used the word Japanese in there, so it found things like Japanese pentatonic foundation. And that was based on a 20-page context document that I designed. So the next step there would be, okay, change out my Fast API stuff to use this new AI system, and then the Bolt code would then start using that, and it would just be as simple as switching the endpoints that it's referring to. So what's nice there is that in Bolt, I would just be like, hey, Bolt, change this endpoint from here to there. And that is the whole flow of this Bolt project.
So is this like the first time that you've like code something, or just the first time in Bolt, or kind of tell us about your experience?
Definitely first time truly vibe coding next to that other hackathon that you had, which was like that hour-long one. That was my real first start of being like, okay, the vibe coding tools are there. I'm still kind of behind on setting up my own workflow because everyone's using Claude Code right now, and I've just been like still using normal VS Code. So I'm a little bit behind on that, but I've been going to AI Tinkers and seeing how everyone's like approaching this, and there's just been so many options. So seeing Bolt come out as like something that's effectively taking what used to take me like 3 months and doing it in this was 2 nights, 48 hours straight nonstop.
Two 48 hours of code. Okay.
Yes. I did not stop.
It's almost like the whatever psycho guy that beat OpenAI, right? 8 hours of sleep over 10 days or something.
Yeah. But I was curious, like, I know you said your goal was to not touch code. So my issue was that I was having so many issues, is that I had to like download it down a couple of times. Because like to get the server even tested, I had Bolt generate this little UI in the piece in the bottom that tells me if I'm connected to the different API points. So it's doing constant health checks. However, Bolt itself as a platform blocks off those third-party stuff, that course, unless you like. I was just having issues with it, and so trying to then I had to download it down to my own local system, do the connection and check that it was healthy and working, and then get that back up and in, which was not fun because you have to copy in. You can download from Bolt, but you can't import into Bolt without copy pasting unless anyone's.
You can code?
Yeah.
GitHub.
I didn't do that.
That's it.
So
It does a really nice. I mean, it's a bit not ideal, but it does. I mean, once you figure out there's some delay, sometimes in the same thing, you're like, what happened? I just put the code, and then it's like a few seconds over. Oh, there's the code. So it just. At first, I was a bit frustrated because it didn't sync, but then you realize, oh, there's a bit of delay here. But once you realize that, it's pretty straightforward.
okay.
So that way and then of course you can run it locally and also involved at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I was excited when I heard you said you were using GitHub for it, because I was like, what? I was manually doing everything.
GitHub is very, very important for this project, especially because you can create branches, or you can create like it allows you to roll back. Sometimes if there's massive change, you just roll back to a previous change. Okay, that's not what you're doing there. You're not going the right path, and then you roll back to the previous checkpoint.
See, every time I knew I was about to do something crazy different, I would duplicate 3, and like if one failed, I would go back and be like, yeah,
GitHub, man.
yeah. So that's it.
All right, awesome.
Oh, and that reminds me, there's one thing that I would highly recommend though, is you can actually get Bolt to give you some really effective debugging aspects in your system built in. So like I had ways to turn off particular features just from the front end UI, ways to check logs from the front end UI, and set up my own like in-app console. Can't show it right now because that other screen didn't close, but that way, it's just really effective to not have stuff showing up in your console log in case it's accidentally pushed to production, but you have like a debug feature that's like available given proper authentication.